Well, new this morning, civil rights icon and U.S. Representative John Lewis has died at the age of 80. To talk more about the congressman's legacy, we are joined now over the phone by State Senator Douglas McCrory. Senator, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, young man.
Of course. So I want to start off with a simple question here. Obviously, a devastating loss for the nation. How did Congressman Lewis impact you?
Well, I tell you, one of the things I did when I first got involved in politics, I actually read his biography, and I can't imagine all the great things this man has been a part of all his life. I would say we talk about history often, but this man was history. He was a part of the Big Six and the March on Washington, and not only that, a part of an organizer. He was the youngest person that spoke. He was the chairman of SNCC back in the 1960s, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And not only that, think about, we hear stories about the Freedom Riders. He was one of the original 13 Freedom Riders. And lastly, what a lot of people might not realize, way back in 1988, John Lewis was the first person in Congress to authorize the ask for a national history or African American museum. And he was denied for 15 years. Every time he went to Congress to ask, could we build a museum about African American history in this country? And for 15 years, he was not denied until eventually it finally got passed. That's the tenacity that young man represents for me, and that's why I look up to him so much.
Of course. And just piggybacking off of that, I want to read one of the congressman's most famous quotes. Everybody knows this. It's, quote, "If you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to do something about it." How do you think that message in particular really influenced American politics and discourse over the years?
I mean, every time, what his words are like both, because he is exactly right. And when we see things that are not right in this country, he had the courage to stand up to it. Just like now, when we see things that's changing in this country, this is an opportunity for all of us, all our elected officials, but every American citizen to stand up when they see things that are not right. And that's why we're taking action right now in this country in light of what's been going on. We honor him in that challenge.
Right. And just piggybacking off of that, during this time of unrest across the country, you were just mentioning that. What do you think people watching at home stand to learn from the legacy of John Lewis, just to sum it up here?
Don't give up. Don't ever give up. When the situation looks as though it's in perils, you have to stand up and fight. And that's what everyone in this country has to stand up to what is right. And John Lewis led the way and will continue to lead that way. And we honor him, unfortunately, on his untimely death.
Good way to put it. Senator, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Of course. Have a great day.